Welcome to the studios at First Star Logistics. You're in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics. And we're going to talk about the final preseason game against the Miami Dolphins. And it had a lot went on, particularly early in the football game. Before the game, Joe Burrow comes out to warm up, and the place goes crazy. Joe Burrow goes out as one of the captains for the coin flip. Trey Hopkins and Joe Burrow and Nick Cosgray. That was unusual to have the head of rehab go out there with the two players. It was quite an honor for Nick Cosgray when Zach Taylor said he wanted him to go out there and do that, because Nick Cosgray is the head of the rehabilitation process for both of these players. They both made miraculous comebacks from their surgery on their ACL reconstructions. And to have those three out there for the coin flip was just a signifying job well done, no question about it. And then Joe Burrow goes out there for the start of the game in the huddle with his teammates, new teammates, some teammates he worked with last year. He's got the communication device in his helmet. He's getting all the communication from Zach Taylor, and just getting that part of the process done, coordinated, check off all those boxes. Ran the ball twice, a little jet sweep by Tyler Boyd. Joe Mixon ran the ball for a 5-yard gain, but then they threw the football one time. Jamar Chase tried to run a little bubble receiver screen, and Jamar Chase tried to make his first move before he secured the football. I think that obviously Zach Taylor said this after the game. Even if the Bengals had generated a first down on those 3 downs, Joe Burrow, Trey Hopkins, others would have come out of the football game. They were going to play 3 snaps and 3 snaps only. So I think they knew what the plays were going to be. And I wonder if Jamar Chase was thinking about that bubble screen for a while, and then all of a sudden the bubble screen's there, and everybody's very excited about Joe Burrow being on the field and in the huddle, and he's trying to say, okay, let's show off a little bit. Here's what Joe Burrow and I were about at LSU. Here we are. We're going to make a play right here. And he just started thinking too much. First thing you have to do is focus on the football, watch the football into your hands, catch the football. Don't start to peek, see where defensive backs are, try to make your first move before you secure the pig. And you drop the football. And it turned into a crazy play. The officials initially thought it was a fumble and then finally ruled it as an incompletion. And during that whole process, Riley Reif had a personal foul penalty. So that sequence of downs was crazy. But Joe Burrow got done with the 3 plays. The place went crazy when Joe Burrow went out there and finished the process of his rehabilitation. The next time he takes the field will be against the Minnesota Vikings on September 12th, the home opener. So Joe Burrow got that part of it finished, fait accompli, check that box. Bengals offensively had a pretty good night. 413 yards offense. They went 8 for 15 on 3rd down. They ran the ball 29 times, averaged over 4 yards a carry, rushed the ball for over 120 yards. The thing that impressed me for the entire preseason, 3 preseason games, they allowed 1 quarterback sack. And really, the reason for that quarterback sack was Trey Hill snapped the ball a count early. And the rest of the offensive linemen were stationary and frozen in their 2-point stances, and the defensive linemen were getting up the football field. Didn't have a chance to protect. And the quarterback decided to try to make a play instead of just cutting his losses. Kyle Shermer decided to try to get out of pocket, and he should have just thrown it away. Throw the football away and live to 2nd and 10. Well, he tried to do a little too much. They knocked the football away from him, and they lose the ball on a fumble. So that sack was a pivotal play, and it was a mistake on multiple fronts. Snap the ball a count early. Quarterback doesn't get rid of the football. Throw it away. Don't subject yourself to a hit. Don't subject yourself to a turnover. And all of that took place. But other than that, that's it. The only quarterback sack in 3 preseason games. Their sack ratio is probably the best in the National Football League. They only allowed 1. They had at least maybe 6 plus 5 in the quarterback sack ratio over a 3-game span is pretty good. So offensively, there was some positives for sure. During the course of this football game, Bengals had the time of possession advantage. They really had control of the football game. But then we get to the last 5 minutes and 57 seconds of the game, where Miami has a bunch of people in that they're evaluating for the very last time to decide if they're going to be on the back end of that Miami Dolphin roster or not. The Bengals the same way. The Miami Dolphins offense dramatically outplayed the Cincinnati Bengals defense in that matchup. The guys that were fighting for the final roster spots in Miami had a much better night than the guys fighting for the final roster spots in Cincinnati. In the last 5 minutes and 57 seconds of the football game, Miami scores 15 points and has 155 yards on 2 drives. They kick an extra point, and then they have a 2-point conversion, which ended up being monumental because there was a broken coverage there, and running back is hit for a 2-point conversion, and they have a 3-point lead as a result of it. If that 2-point conversion doesn't take place, the Bengals go on a drive at the end of the football game. They could have possibly kicked a 50-yard field goal to win the game if the 2-point conversion isn't successful. Well, Zach Taylor decided, I don't want to tie in a preseason game. I'm not going to go and attempt a 50-yard field goal to tie the preseason. Even though there's no overtime in preseason, he went for the win. And on a 4th down play, doesn't convert. And that's what the game boiled down to, 2 4th down plays. The Miami Dolphins have a 4th and 15, and they throw a touchdown pass almost 40 yards down the football field on a Hail Mary situation where quarterback is out of the pocket, scrambling, trying to keep a play alive, extending a play, and he throws a touchdown pass to the back corner of the end zone. Receiver makes a heck of a play on the football, and the Bengals find themselves in the short end of the stick. So during that those last 2 drives, the Miami Dolphins converted too many times on 2nd and long, 3rd and long, 4th and 15. Just can't happen. You put yourself in position, get off the football field defensively. You got to get off the football field. The Cincinnati Bengals had a 4th quarter lead in 3 preseason games, and they lost 2 of them. That's a habit, a pattern you don't want to get into. So again, a lot of the players involved in this one, in the matchup against the Miami Dolphins, won't be part of the 53-man roster. But you want to set a tone. But the Miami Dolphins exploded when they won that football game, like they won a playoff game. The Miami Dolphins won 5 games the first year under new head coach Brian Flores. They won 10 in year 2. So they're trending in the right direction, and they're establishing a culture, and they get a winning attitude. And when they won that football game, it meant something to them. So the Bengals should take a lesson from that, take a page out of that book. So we'll see how the final 53-man roster shakes down. That's going to be finalized at 4 o'clock Tuesday afternoon. Quote, finalized, probably not totally finalized. There could be trades anytime Monday or Tuesday. There could be trades after the final roster is set. There could be waiver wire pickups after the final roster is set. There could be manipulation and tweaking of the roster for a 2-week period. But for the most part, I think the Bengals feel pretty good about their roster depth. They feel pretty good about the 53-man roster that they're going to declare to the National Football League at 4 o'clock on Tuesday. And we'll see. Opener, September 12th against the Minnesota Vikings. For the first time in NFL history, the entire league has a bye week before the regular season starts. So any injuries that were sustained during the course of the football game. Wilcox made a great catch, caught a ball over 20 yards down the middle of the football field as a tight end, and he got a concussion as a result of that. So he's going to have time to bounce back if, in fact, he's on that final 53-man roster. Trey Hill, the center, has a little bit of a groin issue. He's going to have time to come back from that. The fact that they traded Billy Price, to me, is an indication that they're very satisfied with what Trey Hill gave them at the center position. So he's going to be a primary backup inside at center and guard. So I think Trey Hill is going to make that 53-man roster. And it looks that way once they trade Billy Price away like they did. But these final battles, who's going to be the third tackle? Who's going to be that swing tackle? Who's going to be the last wide receiver? Who's going to be the last defensive back? Who's going to be the last person at any position group? And the interesting thing in the final 53-man roster debate, you're not just battling with the one player. If you're the last wide receiver, you're not just battling with the final wide receiver, the 2 Trents, for example, Trent Taylor and Trent Irwin. They're not just battling each other. They're battling the last defensive back. They're battling the last wide receiver, the last defensive back, the final running back. Who's going to give them the most snaps? Not just at the line of scrimmage offensively or defensively, but special teams with Darren Simmons. So it's not just a battle amongst the people in your position group. When you're at that final stage of the 53-man roster, it's the final player in multiple position groups are in consideration. So it's very, very competitive, very, very stressful on the players. We'll see what the final decisions are going to look like 4 o'clock Tuesday afternoon.
Hi, Dave Lapham here. Have you heard about In the Trenches with Dave Lapham, presented by First Star Logistics? Catch new episodes from the world of sports and broadcasting. Search for In the Trenches with Dave Lapham on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.